Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outsiders Fantasy Podcast. Hold on, let me shrink our names a little bit. There we go. I felt claustrophobic on the screen. That thing's almost touching my face. Today we're just going to have a fun episode. Obviously, you can tell by our background, this is going to be one of our WWE podcasts. We're just going to break down the draft for Raw and SmackDown that happened last Friday and this Monday. But first, before we do that, as always, we're going to give a tribute to the great Stone Cold Steve Austin, WWE Hall of Famer, and one of my personal childhood heroes. So if you got them, crack them open. Ready to go? All right, now we can officially start and talk about it.
Hell yeah.
Not that I'm a sponsor for Buy Bubbles, but if you can get some coconut lime, that's the shit. Sorry, this is a wrestling podcast. We keep it a little bit more PG-13 rated than our fantasy football side. But anyway, what we're going to do today is we're just going to quickly break over or break down the picks for each night for Raw, and then we'll break down the picks for SmackDown. As we know, and as they said, Raw's a 3-hour show, SmackDown's a 2-hour show. So for every 3 Raw selections, SmackDown gets 2. So obviously Raw is going to take a little bit longer, but we're going to talk about who got drafted, who didn't get drafted, and who's still available. We're going to break down what we think is going to happen here in the near future before Survivor Series, maybe at Survivor Series, what's probably going to happen regarding the Royal Rumble, or what may happen, not probably. We're just having fun tonight. We're just guessing, just looking for dream matchups and stuff like that. And then even potentially what could be happening at Wrestlemania now, and also after WrestleMania. So if you guys got any predictions or anything like that, if you think we're just absolutely dumb with the way we're thinking, let us know. Don't feel free to rip us. Feel free to agree with us. Drop your own predictions that maybe we didn't think of. We just love talking wrestling in general. So first we'll start with the Raw. You got anything? I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, no. No, I'm just excited to get into it.
That's right. Shut up. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So first we're going to start off with Raw. I'm going to go to the men, the women, men's tag team, women's tag team. So of course, for Raw, the WWE champion, Drew McIntyre, was the number 1 pick. Obviously because he holds the title of the main brand. Also Bobby Lashley, the United States champion. R-Truth, the 24/7 champion, which I love R-Truth. I'm so glad that he's still relevant and getting drafted fairly early in the rounds. He actually won it back from Drew Gulak, so now he's like the 42nd time 24/7 champion, or 44th or something. AJ Styles, the Fiend, which I'm glad to see him on Raw because he's back with Braun Strowman.
I'm excited to see where that goes.
Oh yeah, wait till I get to the women's part. It'd be very interesting. So Fiend got drafted to Raw. Randy Orton got drafted to Raw. So he's back. He's stuck with Drew McIntyre still. Braun Strowman, Matt Riddle, Jeff Hardy, the Limitless Keith Lee, Ricochet, Elias, who made his debut last night after taking a few months off hiatus, recovering from an injury. I will sidetrack real quick. I really like that new Elias C. He's still got the same gimmick, but he's a lot more serious now. he is still kind of comedic, but in a serious way. And I really like the way Elias is going. Low key, Elias is one of my favorite dark horses, like a mid card guy. He's super talented in the ring, very powerful dude, very underrated. He's just so entertaining and so good at being a heel and getting people over that they kind of use him like Dolph Ziggler as a stepping stone for people, which is kind of a shame. But anyway, he's very talented on the mic and in the ring. Back to it, after Elias, they did draft Sheamus. Glad to see him back on Raw. Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, who is, or at least was, Dominic Mysterio's tag team partner here, not this past Raw, but last week's Raw. Dabicado, who, if you watch Raw Underground, is Shane McMahon's favorite WWE's version of MMA fighting fighter for the Underground. Drew Gulak, I think I already said that. Tucker from Heavy Machinery. So him and Otis actually got split up. Akira Tozawa, Riddick Moss, Arturo Ruiz, and Eric. So that's a pretty good roster. It's a pretty solid roster from main events to mid cards to low card or opening cards or whatever you want to call it. For the women's division, so obviously Asuka got drafted since she's the Raw Women's Champion. Charlotte Flair is making her triumphant return to Raw, which I was hoping that would happen because they are desperately in need of stronger women in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Naomi is going to be on Raw. Alexa Bliss, which is interesting because now she's with The Fiend officially. So they got a lot of good storylines ahead of them, I think. Lacey Evans, who brings kind of a sass and a toughness to the women's division. Her and Charlotte do have put on good matches in the past. Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, and Lana, who actually just got a title shot at Asuka's championship here pretty soon. So on to the men's tag teams. So the New Day, however, in asterisks, minus Big E. So the theme of this draft was separating tag teams and stables or whatever you want to call it, because Heavy Machinery did get split up. Apollo Crews did get split up from Ricochet, and their other, I can't think of his name, it just slipped my mind. But that little group that they had going on there, and then New Day got split up as well. And Lucha House Party and Kalisto got split up as well. Okay, I knew I was forgetting somebody. And also Bobby yeah, so never mind. Sorry. I reading my notes wrong. My fault, guys. So New Day, meaning just Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, the Raw Tag Team Champions, they got drafted to Raw. The Hurt Business, so along with Bobby Lashley, they're gonna be on Raw right now, as well as Retribution. So they're gonna continue that feud. Miz and Morrison, they got moved over to Raw, so they're separated now from Otis. So that storyline is probably gonna die off. And then the women's tag team division, the champions, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, as well as Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. And as far as I know, they said last night, I believe, that even though the women's tag champs got drafted to Raw, there's only one women's tag championship. So they actually can travel between brands. They can defend it on NXT, I think they even said, but definitely Raw and SmackDown. So even though Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax did specifically get drafted to Raw, that currently, since they're the champs, doesn't specifically hold them to Raw. So before we move on, any exciting things that you think is going to come, like in any grouping of people or like a couple of different people that you could see feuding? Anything you're excited about specifically for Raw?
Well, I'm most definitely excited that the Fiend is on Raw now. I thought something was going to go on a little more with Kevin Owens than it did, but with him being drafted to SmackDown, I guess that's no longer good.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're gonna. I think they abandoned the Kevin Owens Fiend feud, and since they and we'll go over this in a second, but since SmackDown also drafted Aleister Black, I think they're gonna rekindle that because they didn't let that properly play out. But me personally, I am. Excuse me. Obviously, I'm with you. I like the Fiend being on there. I also like Sheamus being with Randy Orton, being with AJ Styles, being with Drew McIntyre, and as well as probably not Braun Strowman, but I think maybe even Elias would be a good match. I think Sheamus is a very great primetime player, main eventer. He's multiple time world champion, king of the ring, Royal Rumble winner. I mean, his resume goes on, and he can hang with the best. I would love to see Drew McIntyre against Sheamus for the championship, the Brogue kick versus the Claymore kick. I think that's got a lot of good stuff written all over it. So,
and I'm excited that Keith Lee stayed on Raw too. I wanna see where he fits in with everybody.
Yeah, he's actually got a match with Braun Strowman next week that I'm super pumped about. That was the reason why I'm glad that both of them were there. So
yeah, and to answer your question, Dylan, yes, he does. He actually did it at Clash of the Champions off the top of the ladder.
Off the ladder, just like you used to do, and through another ladder.
Yeah, they broke the ladder when they did it. So yeah, good question.
Hey, your brother's got the network. Just jack his password. So on the SmackDown. So of course, again, Roman Reigns, Universal Champion, he's going to stay on Raw, as well as Jey Uso, since they've still got that feud going on. Since the United States Championship is on Raw, they're going to keep the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown. So Sami Zayn is going to be there, being the reigning Intercontinental Champion. Seth Rollins, which I thought was a really good move. Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens. Those three big names on SmackDown are really gonna. They did lose a couple of really big names like AJ Styles and those people. So bringing those other guys over is a very good even swap. Granted, I know this isn't necessarily a real draft. Let's just go ahead and get that out the way. We're not dumb. But it's basically just a moving around of talent to make fresh storylines, and I feel like they did very well at evenly swapping these people as well as possible. So moving on, after Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, like we said, Big E, since he got separated from New Day. This shows that his matches with Sheamus went really, really well, and Vince definitely believes in Big E, and I'm really excited to see, hopefully, him getting a big singles push. I've been a really big fan of Big E since he first teamed up with Dolph Ziggler when he back elbowed AJ Lee in the face on accident while they were walking down the entrance ramp. If you haven't seen that, look it up. It's hilarious. She didn't get hurt very bad, but she did get clocked pretty hard by his big ass arm. So I'm definitely excited to see Big E, but we'll go over that in a minute. Aleister Black got drafted, so I'm assuming that Kevin Owens' feud's going to keep going. Apollo Crews got separated from his boys.
Yeah, I'm wondering what they have in store for him now, because he was
bury him again.
he was battling for the U.S. title on Raw. So I don't know. Maybe he makes a run at Intercontinental. I don't really see him going for the Universal, but
Maybe no, never. For some reason they don't like Apollo Crews. I don't think he's great talent, but on the mic, he's just no matter how tough he tries to be, he's just so nice looking, like a nice guy.
yeah, it just comes off as too nice, even when he's trying to be pissed off. He's still too nice.
He's got kind eyes.
Yeah.
So maybe one Intercontinental title run or something like that. If the other names on this list are in a decent feud that means something.
And who knows? Maybe he finds another partner on SmackDown or something. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. So Otis got, like we said, split up from Heavy Machinery. He's on SmackDown. He is currently, I believe so, still the Money in the Bank holder. He got away from Miz and Morrison, so I don't know what they have in store for Otis. Maybe they actually have something down the line of him cashing in. He's got a full year to cash in until the next Money in the Bank championship. So as long as Roman Reigns is champion, I don't see him cashing in at all. That would completely kill Roman Reigns' character. So if anything, we'll go over what we see in a little bit. Let's just finish this. So Murphy as well got drafted with Seth Rollins to SmackDown, so they still got that Messiah Prophet kind of feud starting to go on.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see where that one goes too.
Yeah, Murphy's actually pretty impressive in the ring. He looks pretty good. Kalisto is on his own, split up from the Lucha House Party. Lars Sullivan, who debuted on SmackDown, or debuted here recently, he got promoted up from NXT. The dude's a beast. He's not like, he reminds me of kind of like Rusev a little bit. Just not a lot of personality yet, but just raw power. We'll see where that goes. King Corbin got drafted to SmackDown, and Shorty G as well. So because obviously they hate Shorty G for some reason, even though he's a great wrestler. So they need somebody to squash on a regular basis. So for the women's division, Bayley obviously is going to stay since she's a SmackDown Women's Champion. Sasha Banks, that feud's going really way too good for to split that up right now. Bianca Belair got actually promoted from NXT. She's a pretty interesting chick. She's a very good wrestler. Carmella made her return and also got drafted to SmackDown. Natalya, Billie Kay. So the Iconics actually got split up. Tamina, which we hardly ever see her anyway, but she does randomly make appearances for no reason. But she's still a great wrestler to have. She's got a killer super kick. And Zelina Vega has now joined SmackDown. She split from Angel Garza as well as Andrade. So she's going to make her own little run as it goes. So, and for the men's tag division, the Street Profits got drafted since they're SmackDown champions. Cesaro and Shinsuke as well, and Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode and Rey and Dominic Mysterio. So the entire Mysterio, Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, whole type of deal got just basically traded to SmackDown. So I'm actually glad to see that Rey and Dominic are now considered a tag team because, like I said, it was Dominic and Humberto Carrillo here recently. So I'm kind of interested in to see how they play out as a tag team. I'm sure they'll eventually win the championship, but since that's probably on a bucket list or something. And as far as the women's tag team, there's only one, the Riot Squad. So I expect, like I said, a lot of bouncing around between the women's tag division since there's not that many right now. So as far as the undrafted people, the people that were in pools but not selected was Andrade and Mickey James. So I don't know what's going on with Andrade not being drafted, but I expect him maybe to make an appearance on Raw. He is, last I checked, with Charlotte in their personal life. So I could see that happening. The not in draft pools, but also still undrafted due to either being suspended or being hurt or something like that, or being part-time players. We got Becky Lynch, didn't get drafted yet. Jimmy Uso, Jay's brother, Ivar, Sonya Deville, Edge, Jinder Mahal, Samoa Joe, who we know is on commentary right now, Mojo Rawley, the Forgotten Sons, Bo Dallas, who hasn't been a part of WWE in a really long time, Big Show, who we know just makes random appearances whenever he wants, John Cena, obviously. He said he's not done for good, but he's definitely a part-timer, so I don't think he necessarily has a home. He just shows up wherever he's needed, and then around WrestleMania time, maybe. Bill Goldberg, of course, we know makes special appearances. Ronda Rousey, I don't expect to ever see her in the ring again. And then the Undertaker, who of course just makes, if he is can still, yeah, if he still is wrestling, obviously he only makes his WrestleMania appearance. So.
Interesting that they even put him on the list if he's not going to wrestle anymore.
Well, we'll see. He said if Vince really needed him, he would still be there for him. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and that's his wife said the same thing. If Vince calls and says he needs him, Undertaker's there, no questions asked. So
yeah. Shout out to the Last Ride documentary. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It's a fantastic thing. So as far as the layout, I see a lot of big marquee matches in Raw. I see a lot of recycled matches, but still big matches on SmackDown. But because of the roster being so small, I see Raw having bigger marquee matches, especially around WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, the Big Four, the SummerSlams, the Survivor Series, the Royal Rumbles, and the WrestleManias. Obviously, we're still going to have the Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton feud. I don't know how long that'll last. I don't think it's going to culminate at WrestleMania. Actually, a fact that I learned the other day was Drew McIntyre actually hadn't been beaten literally on national television in one whole year until this past tag team match against Randy Orton. They had an exhibition match, and Randy Orton actually RKO'd him and pinned him after a year. Yeah, Undertaker is pretty good. I would argue Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, and The Rock are probably my top three tied for the best of all time. You can add Triple H to that list as well.
It's all about the game.
Yeah. So with Drew, obviously he was Vince's original handpicked boy. He had to go away for a little while, but he's returned better than ever. And Vince obviously thinks the world of him, especially having him being undefeated for a year straight, legitimately. That's Brock Lesnar type stuff. So
yeah, that and the way it kind of went the first time around for him, it shows you how much Vince really believes in him and cares about him. as a person, not just as a wrestler, to allow him to come back and have the success that he has.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Another thing that I am interested in seeing is AJ Styles against Randy Orton later on at some point after the Drew McIntyre thing is over. I think that would be a phenomenal match. They're both crazy good workers in the ring. I wouldn't see much promo wise. It would probably be a a battle of like just egos. So they're both kind of heels at the same time, but they're so over. You just want the match to happen so badly. Um, I'm excited for possibly that they would be able to put on one heck of a match. If any of you guys remember Seth Rollins against Randy Orton at WrestleMania, where he did that RKO, countering Seth's curb stomp by pushing him up in the air and catching him midair in the RKO. That match was a classic. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It'll make you jump up out of your seats. But I think AJ and Randy can have that type of match as well. Also, Keith Lee versus Braun Strowman. Keith Lee against The Fiend. Braun Strowman against The Fiend. I like that whole combination. Any
Yeah,
which way you
a
slice
lot,
it.
a lot of potentials there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Um, like I said, Elias, I'm excited to see where that goes. I really hope that they, of course, he's going to hold down the mid card like he usually does, but I definitely would like to see him get his just dues as far as maybe at least getting in the title picture a few times. Sheamus, he's definitely got drafted to be a big time player to put people over, but as well as be successful. And like I said earlier, I'd like to see that Drew McIntyre, Sheamus kind of, Ireland versus Scotland, kick versus kick, you know, champion versus ex champion. So yeah, those are the things I'm pretty excited
Tyler
about.
said Stone Cold equals the GOAT. Where did Benoit and Owen Hart get drafted?
Owen Hart unfortunately got drafted 6 feet under, and as
So,
well as Chris Benoit.
yeah,
That's sad. Way to break my heart, Tyler. Um, um, so on to SmackDown. Also, some pretty cool tag teams I could probably see happening right off the bat, like maybe AJ Styles if he ever turns face again. Him and Jeff Hardy, I think that would be pretty interesting.
yeah.
Uh, Elias, or I mean, we can get Sheamus or I mean, I'm sorry, dang, Ricochet and Jeff Hardy. That would be fantastic. A very big aerial assault. Um,
Yeah, that would be some high flying for sure.
yeah.
Definitely see
And
them in some ladder matches.
yeah. So on the SmackDown, some things I'd really like to see again is Big E getting pushed into the title picture. Um, so far, I don't see him. I don't see anybody beating Roman Reigns anytime soon. I mean, it would have to be one heck of a build-up. Maybe Seth Rollins, since he did beat Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in the same night on WrestleMania. That one time when he cashed in, he beat Triple H. He's beaten some pretty big names. So that credibility that he has from the past, I don't see that diminishing Roman any. So, or maybe even Daniel Bryan. If Daniel Bryan, was the face, I can see him because he's got historic underdog comeback wins against Brock Lesnar and John Cena and some of the big names that you wouldn't necessarily think of him winning. So those are the only two people I could see really beating him to get the title, but I think it's going to be a while before he drops it. I
Yeah.
think they're going to
Where
pursue that.
where do you think it's gonna go with him and Jay? Uh, as far as like how the storyline is gonna play out. You
I
think?
think
Do you think? Like you said, it probably won't happen, but it'll probably be a while before Roman loses. But do you think they might let Uso like upset him at this next pay per view just so they can keep it going till WrestleMania and see
uh,
what happens at WrestleMania?
no. So this Hell in the Cell is going to be an I Quit match, and I don't see Jay winning at all. I mean, they might extend it one more pay per view. I don't know how they would. I'd have to think about how the story. Granted, I'm no expert or a writer, but I don't see how they would be able to extend it after this because this was billed as like the final match for all the stakes, and it's in Hell in the Cell, inside the cell, and it's also an I Quit match. So there's no pinfalls or submissions. Like so, I see Roman Reigns just beating the absolute tar out of Jey Uso to the point where Jey Uso can't even say I quit. That way, Jey doesn't lose any face. He stays tough. He gets the respect, but at the same time, he gets unresponsive. They've done it several times in the past. Um, and I see Jay just getting beat up so badly that he just is unconscious, and they call the match for Roman. As far as who he's gonna feud with after that, I don't know. Like I said, or like I've said before, I see it eventually culminating at WrestleMania, being this tribal chief, this head of the table, the head of the family, the all that stuff, putting food on the table, feeding people's kids in the Samoan um, lineage. I feel like that'll culminate with The Rock maybe making a comeback at the Royal Rumble or something, or somewhere close to WrestleMania, and
Yeah,
challenging Roman and trying to put him in his place. Um,
yeah. That's one reason why I thought maybe they keep it going with Jay longer just because he's part of that tribe.
yeah. Also, like we were talking off air, one cool thing that I could see if for some reason The Rock, because sometimes he's had to at last minute cancel his WrestleMania appearances because he is such a busy dude. I could also see one cool dream match I would like to see right now is um, champion for champion, um, and make it
That would
Drew at the Royal Rumble, enter one or both of the champions, either Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, or both, in the Royal Rumble, and have one of them win. They would either one of them would be the second time winner of the Royal Rumble. Um,
be cool
and
to have them be the last two in the ring.
Yeah, and then one beat the other, and then they challenge each other for a championship. I don't, I don't think that'll necessarily happen because then you got the questions raised of like, oh, are they going to unify the championships? Then that would make no point to have one brand over the other. Um, I don't know. That's just something that would be cool, unless one of them loses the championship before the Royal Rumble. That also would be something cool to see. One person that's not on this list at all that I've seen, and I'm looking on, or I got this number one because I watched it, and number two just to double check. I compared it to a few lists on different websites. I didn't see Brock Lesnar, so I don't
Yeah,
know
that is
what.
true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so I don't think he's gone by any means, but I think he's definitely going to take a little while off. But of course, when he comes back, he's immediately in the title picture. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much my take on it. Um, some of the matches that I would like to see, some of the matches Drew would like to see, and kind of what's probably going to happen leading up to WrestleMania. So Like I said, if there's anything that we missed, anything that you guys want to see out of these combinations of people, feel free to drop some comments after this is posted, and we'd love to start a dialogue in the comments section and just talk wrestling. So, you got anything, Drew?
I think that's it, man.
All right, man. Well, we will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace.